everyone, welcome to EndasEnglishNotes.com, where today in this video we're going to look at Child by Sylvia Plath. Okay, so a bit of background on Child. It's one of the last poems that Plath published, obviously before her untimely death. In the poem she presents us with the type of mother she wishes to be, and we see the love she has for her child. So throughout the poem we can see that there's immense love for her child, and there's disappointment in the type of mother that she thinks she will go on to be. She wants to be this great mother, but she can't. The final verse shows us she cannot live up to the expectations she has created for herself. This leads to her feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. And there's a message within the poem about the expectations that we sometimes create for ourselves that will inevitably lead to disappointment. And the fact that, did she need to be the perfect mother? No, she did not. And that was something that she struggled with herself. Okay, so we're just going to go to the poem now. So we're just going to go through the poem. We're going to highlight any poetic devices, and we're just going to explain the poem. There's a metaphor in this poem, and there's a very, very clear symbol used in the poem as well. So when you're talking about it, that's probably what you'll focus on. So the first thing we will say is that the first three verses are hopeful. They're full of hope for the type of mother she would like to be. So we'll begin. Your clear eye is the one absolutely beautiful thing. So there's a suggestion here that he is the best thing in her life. Okay, so the one perfect thing. And we can bring that on. If his eye is the one perfect thing, the rest of her life is in disarray, that everything else has been tainted in some way, that his clear eye, the fact that he's innocent and a child, he's innocent, he's perfect, unlike the rest of the things in her life. I want to fill it with colour and ducks, the zoo of the new. Okay, so she wants to show him new things. Okay, she wants to... She doesn't mean take him to the zoo. So everything is like when we go to the zoo and we see a gorilla for the first time, when we go and see a lion for the first time, everything he is seeing right now is for the first time. And she wants to be the person to do that with him. She wants to be the mother that guides him and shows him, and wants to be there for the excitement of that zoo of the new. So she wants to fill it with colour and ducks. The colour there suggests she wants to give him a bright and happy future. Whose names you meditate. So they're learning the different animals and different names. So she wants to teach him. Okay, so she wants to teach him. Now, the next two seem innocuous enough, but this is where the symbolism comes in. April snowdrop, Indian pipe. Okay, April snowdrop is known as a white innocent flower. Indian pipe is much more, there's a lot more symbolism here than would suggest. Indian pipe is a flower who thrives on the nutrients of other flowers. So if we take that on, we will see that in order for the Indian pipe to survive, other flowers must be sacrificed to keep it going. You could suggest that Plath sees herself as an Indian pipe. Okay, what do I mean by that? She is scared that she is going to drain the nutrients from her child, that her presence will sacrifice the future of her child. She is basically maybe hinting that she's this old flower that's going to take everything good from her child and maybe ruin his life. These are the kind of dark thoughts that are going through her mind. She doesn't say it outright, but there's a hint there. Again, with poetry, everything is suggestive and it's open to interpretation. Little Stalk without wrinkle. Now that's a metaphor for her child there. So he's perfect, he's without wrinkle. And again, when she says that, there's a suggestion that she's again hinting that she's not happy with the way she now looks and what she has become, that she has aged. Pool in which images should be grand and classical. Now, this is the expectations she sets. Okay, I'm just putting M there with a metaphor. S there for symbolism. Expectations she sets for herself. Now, if you talk to parents, images should be grand and classical. I don't think there's anything real grand and classical about parenthood. Most parents will say it's a struggle to get through the day in the early stages and getting them what they want, but it's been there for them. That's what parenthood is. And you could say in this poem that Plath has raised the expectations to a level in which cannot be achieved. So she wants everything to be grand and classical. That's her last line in the terms of hope of the type of mother she wants to be. In these first 3 verses, this is the type of mother she wants to be. And then the poem takes such a dark twist, okay? It twists into a sort of darkness, okay? Not this troublous wringing of hands. Now, the wringing of hands represents kind of anxiety. If you see someone in the wring in their hands, it represents the anxiety and depression she's suffering. And the last line is a metaphor. This dark ceiling without a star. Okay, so this dark ceiling without a star, it's a brilliant image, and it represents perfectly what she's going through. The darkness represents her depression. Without a star represents the lack of hope. So we often hear the phrase light at the end of the tunnel. In her mind, and this we have to mention, it's in her mind that she sees no hope, that she sees a lack of hope. Now, reading this poem, if you can put yourself in the shoes of the child reading it, did he want the perfect mother? I would imagine no. But would he want his mother? And the answer would inevitably be yes. And there's a message within this about setting expectations so high that we will inevitably not meet them, which will cause us to feel unhappy and fall into the cycle that Plath herself has fallen into. So the dark ceiling without a star will probably be the centerpiece of your section on child. April Snowdrop, Indian Pipe, if you do a little bit of reading on it, can also be a great interpretation of how Plath possibly felt at the time. So in your essay, you'll more than likely be asked about language, okay, and you'll also be asked maybe about theme. So the theme of this is the expectation she sets on herself and the depression and her life. But the language, we have 2 metaphors and we have symbolism there. Okay, so you should be able to remember this poem fairly well. It's a short poem, some very clear images that you can use in your essay. So we're just going to go to summarise it now. So just to summarise, Plath wants to be a good mother. She tells us that his clear eye is the one absolutely beautiful thing. So she loves her child. The symbolism of April Snowdrop and Indian Pipe are very clear in what they represent. So the child is the April Snowdrop and the Indian Pipe is the old withered plant that is now feeding off the nutrients of the young. And it's just, she's scared that it represents her, and she's scared that she is the Indian Pipe who will inevitably bring down her son. She raises the expectations of motherhood to impossible standards. Is there a message here in how much we expect from ourselves? Overly high expectations can lead to disappointment. In fact, there was an announcement in the media there last week. The key to happiness is to lower your expectations. It mightn't seem like the best piece of advice before the leaving cert, but sometimes we do have to maybe temper our expectations a little. And maybe appreciate what we have as opposed to comparing ourselves to people maybe who have more than us, and instead look to those who had less than us. The last line is a metaphor for Plath's life. The dark ceiling without a star represents the lack of hope in her life, and the darkness represents the depression she is fighting. So that's a quick summary of Child by Sylvia Plath. Thanks everyone for listening. Please hit like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you.